Okay, so here is the Bishop Sewing Systems hand crank on one of my 237s. This is the 237 from Michigan, the one that had been damaged in shipping, and I had to fix it a little bit. It works fine now. This was the first 237 I had picked out, and one of the advantages to this one over the one I have from Vermont is that this has feed dogs that drop. And ideally, a 237, it can go in a treadle anyway, but a 237 as a hand crank is wonderful. Now, there is a method on treadle on to use you can actually cut a tab into the 237 hand wheel and put a conventional hand crank on. So this isn't your only option. But I like this because I can switch between the motor and the hand crank. Now I want to mention something about the clutch wheel and installing it. Pretend there's a motor shaft behind this clutch washer. And so there's your shaft. The directions say that the washer needs to be in this position with the outer tabs at 12, 8, and what's the other one? Anyway, just start. If you go with the 12, it'll line up. Now, what? I'm just having a mental block on the numbers. I'm sorry. So this is how I started it, with the tabs in that position and the needle at the highest position. And what happens is it threads on like a normal clutch knob, except for some reason, and it may be because of the age or the use or the assembly of my particular machine, when I had the tabs like this, the clutch wheel actually went on there correctly. And by correctly, I mean that little set screw in the middle of a clutch knob, or at the side of a clutch knob. This is an old one. This set screw is going to hit those tabs and keep the clutch knob moving correctly. So you may have to fiddle with it a little bit. This is what the directions say. On this 237, I ended up with it like that. So there it is installed. I have it folded right now. The motor is on. Now on the Spartan, what I had to do was, let's say I've finished hand cranking and I want to go back to motor sewing. And on the Spartan, I had to tighten the clutch wheel a little bit. On this one, I don't have to do that. So here I unfold the hand crank. And the beauty of a 237 with this is zigzag without adding a zigzag attachment. Now I can't make that go straight right now. So there, I've done that. Now I'm going to fold it up. I'm not going to do anything else except put my foot on the foot pedal. And as I'm doing that, because it's folded, and of course now it won't do it, but that was the wheel that got stuck. This machine sometimes the belt isn't adjusted exactly correctly. And as you can see, I didn't have to do anything but fold up the hand crank and put my foot on the foot pedal. So now I've opened it up again, and I'm right back to hand cranking. So I believe this is the proper installation, and you may have to fiddle a little bit with your clutch knob washer, or it is a new clutch knob and not an old vintage one that's been adapted. It is a new one. So it's a new part you're adding, and you may just have to fiddle with it. Follow his instructions. In my case, I think this machine is just either the shaft is a little bit off or something. This is the machine that got dropped. So it could very well just be this machine, but I believe this is the correct installation of this hand crank on a machine. And now this is except for the 1591, because he did say specifically to remove it from a 1591 before using the motor. But even if I had to do that, what you do is turn it backward and it comes right off. So you don't have to leave it on there, but you can leave the clutch wheel on there and switch in between the two of them whenever you want. So the Bishop Systems, I'll get the name right. Bishop Sewing Systems hand crank on a Model 237.